What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. 500 Bushwhacker water jug test time again. This time it's the rifle's turn. I say again because this is round 2 for water jug testing. The first time around was the 7.5-inch BFR chambered in 500 Bushwhacker made by TII Armory. That video's right here. That's pretty awesome. So the 7.5-inch with a 400 grain CEB solid bullet, solid copper, completely ripped through. I think it was 13 of these Arizona T jugs plus 3 Tidy Cat jugs. So like I said, last time we were using a 400 grain CEB solid copper in the revolver. Today we're moving to a 450 grain CEB Safari solid. This is another just flat pointed, just like the copper, except for it's made out of brass. We can shoot the brass out of the rifle, not the handgun. For legal reasons, you're not allowed to shoot the brass out of handguns, but out of the rifle, definitely. We have 50 more grains. We have a lot more barrel length here. We can get some really good oomph out of this. So some of you might not know what the 500 Bushwhacker is. For those of you that don't, let me explain. It's actually pretty simple. BFRs come from Magnum research. They call them big frame revolvers, big freaking revolvers, whatever you want to actually call them. The box says biggest finest revolver, but they don't start out looking like this. They start out like this. They don't have that big tank brake looking thing on it. This here's a 444 Marlin, and yeah, that's how I say it, not 444, but anyway. So it's your typical average factory BFR. Now TII Armory gets a hold of it, and they add that monstrous brake to it. They do a little front sight work, rear sight work, and some other things, including reaming the cylinder out to 500 Magnum. Now, if you have something like a 444, some caliber other than 500 or 50 caliber, they're going to have to do barrel work also. But the bottom line is they turn this, the factory box version, into this awesomeness. So now, what is the actual 500 Bushwhacker cartridge? Imagine a very lengthened 500 Magnum. You can get basically twice the power of a 500 Magnum. You can go faster than a 460 Magnum, and you can do it all with the same .500 diameter or 50 cal. It's just a stretched out 500 Magnum basically, but you need to have a capable gun to shoot it. You need to have this long cylinder that comes with the BFRs, and you definitely need to put on this brake. T2 puts on the brake. You can't use just any brakes. There's actually a video out there where someone put their own homemade brake on there and it didn't end well. But people recommend all the time, hey, why don't you just shoot it without the brake? Not a good idea, not recommended. You need that. You're creating a lot more power than your average 500 Magnum. But with solid bullets like this, holy crap. Now, you wouldn't put this, like I said, in the revolver, but the rifle, wowzers. So just to show you the plethora of different ammunition that this thing can eat, the rifle stuff is over here for the most part, and the handgun stuff is over here. We got Lehigh Extreme Defenders or Penetrators, one of the two. We have some Platinum tips from Winchester that are hand-loaded. Barnes XPB hollow points. We have Bengal bullets of different weights. Those are hard cast lead. Over here for the rifle, we have different weights of the solid brass. And again, we have the Barnes XPB in various weights. We have a 610 grain Bengal bullet for the rifle. That thing's a whooper. And over here, if I can find it, I believe we have a 700 grain for the revolver. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, first let's start out with some hollow point fun, just to get lined up, and let's see what the hollow point does on one jug. We have the 325 grain Barnes XPB going in the launch tube. I just got to check my aim here because I don't want to shoot chronographs. I'm really close for the way this scope is set up, but fire in the hole. Well, we definitely had an error, and holy crap. All right, that was pretty wild. That was fun. I just had to dry myself off. That's the main part of the projectile. We didn't even really aim at anything here. That was an earlier shot just trying to get a zero. That's the main part of the projectile there, but here's a pedal, and here's a pedal, and here's a pedal. So that thing definitely came apart and shredded itself. You saw that that thing just misted itself. Let me show you how far apart that jug is. That jug split right down the middle. Let's walk off the feet in between the two. So here's the location of this half of the jug, right here. And here's the location of the other half, right here. Camera guy's gonna follow my footsteps. 35 of my footsteps, which are pretty close to exactly 12 inches in a boot. So 35 feet, that's pretty nuts. All right, I've got to get you guys a velocity because I want to show you guys some foot-pounds. We're 15 feet off that chronograph. Hopefully it's not too wet on the inside. Out with the old and in with the new missile. So sometimes it works out here in the sun and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm shooting with my middle finger just because I have a messed up trigger finger. In case anybody's wondering, it's not my weird bushwhacker technique, it's just what it is. Oh, you can feel that come. If the brake makes that wind go right past you. Camera guy probably has a concussion. 2637 with a 325 grain Barnes XPB, 15 feet off the chronograph. That's crazy. .2637 confirmed on the chronograph. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 5,017 foot-pounds of energy out of this Thompson Center Encore chambered in 500 Bushwhacker. That's nuts. True elephant rifle right here. So you might be asking yourself, how did we go from this to this? Well, that's easy because you always have to upgrade. Since I didn't want a 16-inch BFR revolver, I thought I'd try out the Thompson Center Encore and get it chambered in the 500 Bushwhacker. You can't do it with every rifle. You can't do it with a lot of rifles, to tell you the truth. There's only a select few that I know of that it actually can work with. But this is one of them. This is actually, as far as I know, this is the first ever chambered 500 Bushwhacker rifle, and we have it. Thompson Center Encore. It says Pro Hunter, and it originally was chambered in 500 Magnum, but as you can see, it has a new stamping on it. This thing is absolutely awesome. It pairs perfectly with a revolver. Now, I have no idea how often they do rifle conversions, if they do them at all, really. They might do them here and there. I have no idea. You got to talk to them about it. But I'm grateful to have this one. We have it for the channel. We can show you some really cool stuff. So just like the revolver test, you got to take a look at that one. It's just awesome. We're using Arizona T jugs backed up by TII jugs. We've changed the colors of all the different jugs because it actually makes a difference when you see it on video going off like that. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, backed up by 4 TII jugs, which are much bigger actually. But that's 24 jugs to go through. Let's see if the solid brass slug or projectile can make it through all of them. We have a little piece of rubber to try to stop it if possible, maybe, I don't know. But we also have a new piece of wood on our backstop, so we'll be able to see if it goes through any of that, where it impacts, what it looks like. Maybe we'll be able to find it if it does make it through the jugs. So the muzzle of this rifle is only going to be about 2.5 or 3 feet off of that first jug. I got to keep this bullet going straight. I don't want to veer off. I can't drink a bunch of iced tea like this all the time, so these jugs actually takes me a while to save them up. I don't want to waste the shot. It's going to be a mess. We're going to see a pretty good waterfall, I think. 450 grains of solid brass going in the missile tube. Let's see how we do. All right, hammer back. Ready to roll in 3, 2, 1. Holy moly, let's take a look. That was pretty crazy. Camera guy's gonna start capturing that nastiness that's flowing everywhere. We got water coming out of jugs all the way back here. We might have veered off, but wow, that's a mess. Take a look at the other side, see what might be leaking. I think the bullet might have actually veered off a little bit. Doesn't appear to have exploded them all. But let's see what we did do. Well, unfortunately, tests don't always go as planned. I used my bad trigger finger like I shouldn't have, so that didn't feel good. But we have evidence that we did at least go through pretty close to the center of one of the jugs. There's a whole bunch of evidence laying everywhere. Give me 1 second to find another piece. I saw this laying over on the other side, and that's where it would have been laying, so we did hit maybe a little bit left. That caused that to veer. We did smash. I gotta count backwards here real quick. So we made it through 13 Arizona jugs before it finally veered off enough, or something bounced, because you notice these are all kind of bounced over this way. So something happens. It skipped a few jugs, 7 of them exactly, and then it re-entered a Tidy Cat jug, and you can see it came in pretty low down at the corner. Went to another Tidy Cat jug, low in the corner, and I can see right here where it actually bounced off. So somewhere around here, there should be a solid copper bullet laying around. So things don't always go perfectly as planned. I can't find the bullet and we didn't make it through all the jugs, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leftovers plus 2 Tidy Cats. Remember that 325 grain Barnes hollow point? Let's see what that does. We saw what it did to one jug. That was pretty nuts, but we did see more stuff hit the backstop behind it. Let's see how many we can get through. I'm expecting it's not going to go through many because it's made to expand and go crazy, but let's just see, just for the heck of it. All right, 325 grain Barnes XPB. Let's see if we can wreck it all this time. I'm not going to use my bad trigger finger this time. Countdown to explosion in 3, 2, 1. That's just nuts. That throws everything right back at you. Let's take a look. Wowzers. Talk about taking a bath out here. So that left us 2. So like I said, it didn't go through a whole bunch, but I do see copper pieces everywhere. Let's see what we got. So 5 more jugs eliminated. On this last one that's sitting here a little bit askew, you can see that it started diving down a hair. That could be me, or that could just be deviation. We don't know which pieces do what, but we have copper. This is exactly where it was laying. And then there is some copper inside this one. It was still on the trend down. And we'll shake that out. There's the 3rd pedal, and there should be a core. There you go. So big old 50 caliber core. That thing is no joke. There was another 2 pedals to pull off, but they didn't. And there you go. There's the 500 Bushwhacker taking out 5 more Arizona Ts. We still have 2 left, but I think we're going to save these for another test. Like I said, it takes me a while. My cat really doesn't poop that much, and I don't drink too much of this, so we'll save this. We'll line this up again. We've got more of those CEBs. We're going to come back to this test because we definitely got to get the correct definitive answer for how many that those solid rounds can go through, but I think this was definitely a fun one. Now this is gonna look a little weird because this is edited in after we made the entire video, but I had to get changed. I was filthy, messy, all that crap. But I noticed something and I thought about it as I was getting everything put away. When that bullet went through 13 jugs and then it skipped right here, which camera guy is gonna show you, it skipped right here off of this piece of plywood. It didn't really do much damage. And then that's when it scooted behind these jugs and it ended up hitting those 2 Tidy Cats that were right here. It went through both of those, and like I showed you, it put a little dent right here on that Tidy Cat jug, and we couldn't find it after that. But it did not have enough energy to get through that. So in conclusion, now that I've thought about this just a little bit, it did make it through 13 of the Arizonas and 2 Tidy Cats. I would say that that's a fair number. You could say it lost a little bit of energy on this board right here, so maybe it would have been able to make it into this Tidy Cat, so possibly it could have gone into a 13th or a 3rd Tidy Cat jug. Just keep that in mind. Back to the video. So trust me, these guns are awesome, whether it's the revolver or the rifle. 500 Bushwhacker is really cool. And the other cool thing that I forgot to mention is that you don't have to shoot 500 Bushwhacker all the time. This is compatible with 500 Magnum. It's just like shooting a 38 out of a 357, or if you want to think about it in the semi-automatic world, putting a 40 caliber in a 10mm, which is not recommended, but you get my point. You can shoot the 500 Special, and there's one other 500 something, I can't remember off the top of my head, but 500 Magnum definitely comes out of this thing like a tame little kitten. And the rifle's not that bad to shoot either. A lot of power out of both of these firearms, but recoil is manageable with the right loads. Start going up to 600 grains or so, it can get a little wild. But keeping this thing in the 275 to 400 grain, 450 grain range, revolver even, is like shooting a 44 Magnum in my opinion. So take a look at our 500 Bushwhacker playlist. We have a lot of videos already, plenty more coming up with both of those firearms. Hope you enjoy these types of videos. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching this video. And until we see you at the next one, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.